with emotionally immature parents, there are some specific signs that this may have happened. The first being that you often find yourself with a very complicated relationship with your parent. And there are these kind of patterns that keep happening where they continue to let you down, but you continue to seek that correction with them. Now, with emotionally immature parents, it doesn't mean that they're bad people, because we can only function to the degree that we mature. And oftentimes, when we are raised by emotionally immature parents, there were deficits for their parents, and so they turned out the way they turned out, and then they continued this. And you'll often see this if you look back in the family line, that there's kind of a long line of unavailability, at least emotionally. So, emotionally immature parents, this is more focusing on the emotional experience of childhood. So, oftentimes people will tell me, I had everything I needed. Maybe the parents even like went to sports and school and that kind of thing. But the thing that is the most important for a kid is emotional safety and emotional vulnerability and an environment that can support that. So just because you had everything that you needed materially doesn't mean that you didn't get what you needed emotionally, or that you got what you needed emotionally. And this is really helpful to explore. It doesn't take away from the efforts that your parents did and the good qualities that they have, but it often creates a certain kind of wound that we keep recreating. And we often continue to have a more and more complicated relationship as we grow up because we continue to want to fix these past wounds. So, what do you do if this resonates with you? Well, the first thing is to come to terms with who your parents are and were, and start to identify, how do I reparent myself? So if they weren't able to do that, that's fine. But how do I now, as an adult, reparent the kid inside of me that keeps creating these situations and gravitating towards these different relationships that in some way mirror that early relationship? Once you can start to do that and show up for yourself, you become less vulnerable or wounded towards your parents or people in your life that activate this wound, because you know what to do to take care of it. Now, the next step is creating boundaries. So, immaturity creates lack of boundaries. And so, you need to create some with the people in your life. And the point of the boundary is not to control what they do, but it's to protect yourself emotionally. So, what do you need to do? How do you need to relate to protect yourself emotionally so that whatever kind of relationship you can have is available and there for you? Now, one of the pieces that I often see as a barrier for people is they're understandably frustrated, hurt, resentful. But it is very helpful to learn how to let go of that, because it poisons us, even if we're very justified in the experience and feelings that we've had.